My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 33 years old, and when I was 17, I believed my future was already waiting for me in a savings account my late father had built one paycheck at a time. He called it my Freedom Fund, and every birthday he would slide another deposit receipt into a blue envelope, promising that no matter what happened, I would never have to choose between my dreams and money. After he passed away from a stroke, my Aunt Linda stepped in as the trustee because I was still a minor. She hugged me at the funeral, looked me straight in the eyes, and said, "Your dad trusted me with your future, Claire. I'll protect every penny." I believed her without question. She was family. She was all I had left. By senior year in Columbus, Ohio, I was the girl every guidance counselor bragged about. Straight A's, debate captain, acceptance letters from 3 universities, and one impossible dream, studying biomedical engineering at Ohio State. Then, 2 weeks before graduation, the financial aid office called. They said my college trust had already been emptied months earlier. I laughed because it sounded ridiculous. There had to be a mistake. But when I rushed to the bank, the manager quietly slid a stack of withdrawal records across the desk. Every signature belonged to my aunt as the legal trustee. Nearly $186,000 gone. My hands started shaking so badly I couldn't even read the last page. That evening, I drove to her house expecting an explanation, maybe even an apology. Instead, she smiled, poured herself a glass of wine, and casually admitted she'd borrowed the money to save her struggling business. Then she leaned back and said the sentence that still echoes in my head 20 years later. "You're only 17, Claire. You'll earn it all back someday." In that moment, I thought losing my college fund was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. I had no idea that less than a year later, a black SUV with IRS Criminal Investigation agents would stop in front of her office, and everything my aunt had spent years hiding was finally about to collapse. For the next 6 months, I worked every shift I could find. Mornings at a coffee shop, evenings stocking shelves at a grocery store, and weekends tutoring high school students just to keep my college dream alive. I refused to let my aunt's betrayal define the rest of my life. Every time I wanted to quit, I remembered my dad's words about the Freedom Fund. It wasn't really the money he believed in. It was me. Meanwhile, Aunt Linda acted like nothing had happened. She bought a brand new luxury SUV, renovated her office, and posted smiling vacation photos from Napa Valley as if my future had never existed. Whenever I asked about paying me back, she'd laugh and call it a temporary family loan. Then something strange happened. One afternoon, a former employee from her accounting firm recognized me at the coffee shop. He quietly asked if I was related to Linda. When I nodded, his expression changed. Before leaving, he slipped me a business card and whispered, "Tell her to keep every receipt she's ever destroyed." I had no idea what he meant, but the fear in his voice stayed with me. A few weeks later, my aunt suddenly stopped posting online. Her expensive SUV disappeared from the driveway. Neighbors whispered that federal agents had been asking questions about her business records. Then, early one rainy Tuesday morning, my phone buzzed with a local news alert. "Financial consulting firm under federal tax investigation." The company name was my aunt's. I stared at the screen, completely frozen. At that moment, I still believed the investigation was only about unpaid taxes. I didn't realize that hidden inside those financial records was the truth about my college fund. And my father's money was about to become the centerpiece of a federal criminal case. The investigation moved faster than anyone expected. 2 months later, I received a subpoena asking me to testify because the trust account carrying my father's name had become part of the federal case. Sitting in that courtroom at 33 years old, I realized this wasn't just about stolen taxes anymore. IRS investigators had uncovered years of fraudulent bookkeeping, fake business deductions, and money transferred through accounts that should never have existed. My college fund wasn't the only account my aunt had drained. It was simply the easiest one because I was too young to fight back. One investigator showed the court a timeline proving that within 48 hours of emptying my trust, Aunt Linda had used part of the money as a down payment on her new office while reporting it as a business expense. She hadn't borrowed my future. She had hidden it. Then came the moment nobody saw coming. The prosecutor placed one blue envelope on the evidence table. It was the same envelope my father had used for every deposit receipt. A retired banker had found it inside an old safe deposit box that my aunt never knew existed. Inside was a handwritten letter from my dad explaining exactly how the trust was supposed to protect me and warning that no trustee should ever have personal access to the funds. The courtroom fell silent. My aunt's attorney lowered his head, knowing the defense had just collapsed. For the first time in 16 years, I watched Aunt Linda realize she couldn't talk, charm, or manipulate her way out of the truth. The only thing left was the judge's final decision, and whether justice could ever replace everything I'd lost. Judge Reynolds didn't rush his decision. He looked at my aunt, then at me, before quietly saying that betrayal is often most devastating when it comes from the person entrusted to protect a child's future. Aunt Linda was convicted on multiple federal tax fraud charges, ordered to pay restitution, and permanently removed from every fiduciary position she held. Part of the recovered assets, including the money stolen from my college trust, was returned through the court's restitution process. It didn't erase the years I lost or the opportunities I had postponed, but it gave me something I thought was gone forever: the chance to move forward on my own terms. At 34, I finally graduated with a degree in biomedical engineering, walking across the stage with my father's faded blue envelope tucked inside my graduation gown. I wasn't celebrating the money. I was honoring the promise he tried so hard to protect. A week after graduation, I visited his grave and placed the envelope beside the flowers for a few quiet minutes before taking it home again. It reminded me that real inheritance isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the people who believe in your future. As for Aunt Linda, I haven't spoken to her since the sentencing. She wrote several letters asking for forgiveness, but some apologies arrive years too late. Today, whenever young students ask me whether one betrayal can destroy their future, I tell them the truth. Someone may steal your savings, delay your dreams, or even break your trust, but they can never own your determination unless you willingly hand it to them. And that is something no court, no criminal, and no amount of money can ever take away.